earn back comes in the sense of actually placing some of your base pay at risk if you are at the top of a public sector organisation, and then simply earning it back. I wanted to escape the categories that are so kind of value laden now of performance related pay. Although of course there is a big performance component in this, and I wanted to kind of redefine the relationship between a public sector leader or a member of a leadership team. And it seemed to me to be, this opened up kind of a different discourse in which actually part of one's base pay is at risk. Because if you do get very well paid at the top of an organisation, it seems to me that, and you are in control of your destiny, and there is going to be an appraisal of you by actually the board or by a subcommittee to the board, the remuneration committee. It is not unreasonable for the annual appraisal that the remuneration committee are going to hold with you, the leader of the organisation or leadership team, and to say, well, to what extent have you met these metrics? And you don't want it always to be about, well, if you've met them, you get a bonus. You want it to be about that actually, we were assessing whether over this period of time, this year, you've actually done the job we wanted you to do. So I wanted to kind of change. I wanted to move the discourse away from bonuses and incentives and into a more kind of basic conception to do with fairness. I mean, I think there's broadly about 20,000 people in the public sector, I would guess, out of a workforce of 5.6, 5.7 million. The CEO or permanent secretary or director of a public organisation in the central civil service, or out through a foundation hospital and to a vice chancellor of university, or local authority CEO. Not just that, but also the leadership team. That's really to whom I think earn back should apply. Once it's bedded down over a period of years, I think and we'll see how it works. It may be that some parts of the public sector may want to operate a voluntary system of earn back, so that those who want to be performance appraised can be, partly as a signalling mechanism to show that they are up for that kind of approach, but also, I mean, to kind of build on this attempt to get a performance culture in the public sector. What I've tried to do is to give the public sector a way of reframing the question. I may lead a public sector organisation, but I put an amount of my money at risk, which I'm going to earn back through my performance. That's my commitment to you, the citizen. And if I don't achieve those goals, I don't do my job, I won't make my base pay. I mean, the union reaction was not unexpected, but actually it was relatively generous towards my proposals in the round. I mean, obviously, Jonathan Baum at the FDA and one or two others, reserved their position over the idea of earn back, but they could see the point of it. They could see why I was advocating it, and were ready to talk about it. And I think a lot of people in the public sector, trade unions representing senior managers, recognise that actually the status quo where anyone who makes more than the Prime Minister's base pay of $142,500 is actually, immediately in the media spotlight. If you earn less, you could be doing your job very poorly, but that's okay. You're earning less than the Prime Minister. And this kind of irrational benchmark has become the standard. There's enormous pressure to take pay cuts. A question I was asked by the Prime Minister was actually, first of all, should public sector pay at the top be capped at a ratio of 20:1, and could it become a social norm? When I came to the view that actually the cap wouldn't work, I still wanted to try and find an answer to the question of what could become a social norm. I think there was some relief that I'd moved away from, the kind of automatic cap of 20:1. They welcomed earn back and performance pay. They liked the notion of transparency, and they like the notion of tracking the ratio of the CEO or the top person's pay to the median worker in the public sector's pay. The signals I've got is that they're relatively keen on it, and the Cabinet Office and the Treasury have required departments to bring forward recommendations about how they're going to implement the Fair Pay Review by the end of July. And my understanding is that will be extended across the public sector. And my understanding also is that some of the ideas are going to be the primary legislation needed to make this a requirement in the private sector are also going to be brought forward in the Queen's speech in the autumn. I mean, this is already going to become the goal. This has already been a requirement in the States. Under the Dodd-Frank legislation, every quitted company in the States is going to have to publish this and publish it over time. And I'm really building on that, saying that it should be published, and actually if it changes from one year to another, companies should be required to explain, why the remuneration of the CEO has gone up or gone down, and what is it about his or her due desert, their contribution during the course of the year that has led shareholders and the remuneration committee to actually lower or increase their pay. And I think, and then I want all of this information to be published in one central fair pay report, so that the public, so it starts off with the Senior Standards Review Body publishing the public sector in a fair pay report in 2012, and then in 2013 or 2014, all the private sector material can be brought into the same fair pay report. And so in one place, the citizen can see across the British economy what every private organisation, indeed every voluntary organisation and the public sector, what the ratios are between the top person and the median, and make comparisons, and also see what the justification is for changes. And I think that would, again, it's an attempt to operationalise this notion of mine that actually fair pay is ultimately about due desert for the contribution you've made, and to get off the being impaled on a kind of language in which anyone who makes a lot of money is definitionally seen to be a fat cat. They might actually deserve it. It might be their due desert.